Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hope Podcast. Today we have Kurtis Bower. Kurtis is from just north of Des Moines, Story County, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kurtis is a candidate for state representative.
Correct.
Kurtis is a mayor. He's a veteran. He's a warrior for family rights. Probably a million other things. Welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So what got you, what lit the fire in you to get into like government politics? Have you always been a servant of the country? Like, I mean, I know you're military background.
I think it all started with having a subpar GPA in high school and my parents telling me, hey, we're not going to pay for your college, so you better figure that out. And I kind of go, oh. And that's where the military came in.
Okay.
So.
And you went to Jeff, right? In Cedar Rapids?
Yeah, I went to Cedar Rapids, Jeff. Yep.
Yeah, I'm from Cedar Rapids, yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. So you get done with Jeff and you signed up with the Army?
It was the Army National Guard. I signed up actually my junior year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Went to basic training in between my junior and senior year. Graduated high school. Went to, they call it AIT. It's Advanced Individual Training. It's the job trade school. It's a communications job. And I went to school at Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Okay.
And while I was there, that's when September 11th happened.
Oh, wow.
So it was an interesting time, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So then did you bump up to full-time? What is it called when you go from National Guard to full-time? Or?
Oh, so in the National Guard, when they bump you up to full-time, they can do it a number of ways.
Okay.
One way is, they called it ADSW at the time, which was Active Duty Special Work. Mm-hmm. But then they called it ADOS, which was some sort of active duty element that whatever.
But active duty is what? That's
right.
That's the word I was looking for, yeah.
So I got activated in March of 2003.
Okay.
For the war in Iraq.
Yeah, right as we're gearing up. This is within a few months of Iraq, right?
Crossed the border, what was it, March 19, 2003.
Okay.
So that's when the war in Iraq kicked off.
Okay.
So.
And were you right there with them when they went in from the beginning?
So I was with the 234th Signal Battalion out of Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
And it was the armory right adjacent to. So we went to Fort Riley, got all geared up, and then we came in June of 2003. And they moved us all to our different locations. Because of the way the military was set up at the time, we were considered what they call core elements.
Okay.
And 3rd Corps was in charge. So they moved our platoon to Mosul under the 101st Airborne.
Okay. And your job was communications?
Yes.
Okay. So what's communications mean? Like basically the internet connection for the
the internet and the phone and all of that. So we had a T1 for the entire division.
Wow.
So it was 1024 meg.
Yep.
Through satellite for the entire division.
Yeah, I'm in the internet industry. That's barely dial-up these days.
Right.
Yeah, 1.5 megabits per second for anybody wondering. And what was what did you learn in Iraq, and like what was your takeaway? Because I kind of look back and a lot of people are like, well, we know that Saddam was bad, but what did we do a good thing there? Was it like, I mean, what just from being on the ground, what were your thoughts?
So, I mean, we were talking about war or weapons of mass destruction and stuff like that, but I looked at it a little bit differently. A lot of people blame then Secretary Powell and President Bush for bad calls. But again, some of those bad calls, I would say, were intelligence blunders. It was pretty clear that CIA and the State Department had set some stuff up. And it wasn't exactly the clearest. And
so it's like they basically through information control
the narrative.
what the country
Yes,
did.
yes.
The narrative, which
The narrative.
fed what our military, like, there was no problem with military victory, right? Like, whatever we did, we wanted to do militarily, we did.
Correct. The hard part is how do you balance this idea that you did remove a very, very cruel guy.
Yeah.
And his two sons, Kusei and Uday, were far more evil than he was.
Which makes that checks out. Yep.
Right. So between the removal of those three individuals from the power structure, did it create a vacuum? Yes. Is that vacuum being corrected now? Time will tell.
Yeah, like that's kind of the question that weighs on a lot of us. I think it's like, well, nobody's sitting here saying that, Saddam was good or we should have, like the question is like, despite all of our military success, despite all of the resources we poured into it, did we in the net affect things positively,
I would have to say yes.
Okay.
You're never going to make change unless you start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And change doesn't always happen quickly. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you want change to stick, it has to be slow and deliberate. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things I look at in this whole process. Is it slow? Yes. Is it deliberate? Yes. But we have to see it through. I mean, we can't be pulling out of places last second without any warning. I mean, we turned our back on, say, like the Kurds 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah, they're just used to getting betrayed, right?
And they never deserved it. And they've been nothing but loyal to us. So, to me, I don't like how sometimes policy decisions are so one-sided. Because it's easy to be selfish, but when you're asking for help from another player in the game, well, you know what? It's time to pony up. They helped you. You need to help them.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of my early take.
Okay. Like in the net, there was some positive direction. We had some good influence. Policy interrupted what could have been a better thing, basically ulterior motives from Washington,
Correct.
More or less. Yeah.
Correct.
Man, isn't that the story?
Well, and I mean, the military is an instrument of policy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you want to talk about the weapons of mass destruction briefly, I would tell you that the basic components did exist. They just weren't as far developed as what we thought.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's one of the lines that I hear is like, oh, well, they said there was WMDs and there really weren't any. But you're saying actually they had the components.
The raw products were there.
Okay. And we knew that the guy gassed his own people. So
yes, he did.
So, well, yeah. So, okay. So you military career, 4 years over there. How long were you there?
I spent, was a basic year deployment.
Okay. I guess that's, usually they do the 6 months or a year, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. And then but you were probably still in the military after that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I came home, had a family, had 2 kids, wife.
Are you still in Cedar Rapids at this point? Did you move over to Storrs?
No, well, we're still in Cedar Rapids at this point, yeah.
Okay.
And then this is the point in time where I transitioned into where I realized my marriage was falling apart, and what happened to me next is the real catalyst, what started the entire snowball effect of how I got involved in politics.
Yeah. So this would have been 2005,
2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've married, have some kids?
2 kids, yeah.
2 kids. Mm-hmm. Marriage is falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And so where did that lead to? Like how did that?
So I had some paperwork from the VA that said that I had a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yep.
And that simple diagnosis was taken. out of my files at home by my then spouse. She took it to her attorney, and they weaponized it against me.
That is a story that happens way too often.
Absolutely. So it opened my eyes really clearly to the courts and how I wouldn't even say that necessarily that the courts are corrupt. The courts are lazy. They don't even look into anything, and they don't care. So to kind of give you an insight, if you're a successful attorney in today's environment, you're going to be making somewhere between $350,000 a year take home, and $600,000 a year take home
in Iowa. Yeah. Okay.
In Iowa.
Wow.
And you have 10 to 15 years experience.
Yep.
Okay. So currently, the district court judge on the bench is paid right around $170,000.
So if you and they're promoted from the ranks of attorneys, right?
Yes.
Or promoted or demoted if you look at it from a pay scale, I guess.
So they're plucked from applicants who are attorneys. Yes.
So what you're suggesting is and I've heard this from other people too, who are just attorneys and people who are in the just in that space in Iowa, that basically the best attorneys would never want to be a judge in Iowa.
Correct.
Because
there's no financial
less than half.
Correct. There's no financial incentive for them.
Okay, so how did that affect your case?
So by the time it was all said and done, and it's the process started in late 2007 and ended in April 2010. In there were 4 domestic abuse applications from her.
What's an application? She basically said that you abused her, basically.
Correct.
Okay.
And they all fell short.
Yeah. But kind of where we are as a society is like, if you're a man and you get accused, you're pretty much guilty unless you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're not guilty.
Right. So the evidence standard in these is by preponderance of the evidence, which means more likely than not.
Yeah.
So let's say we have a he said, she said moment. All she needs is a little bit of evidence to say, more than her testimony, that it's enough to get it across
Just
the
tip
line.
it over 50% in her favor, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're correct. In order to go into these hearings, I have to prove my innocence.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, it's like I'm sitting there in my attorney's office going, that's not what happened. Here's all the paperwork and the documentation, the text messages, all of the stuff back and forth.
Right.
And so a lot of times it's him contacting her attorney going, really? We're going to do this? This is the route you want to go. You've already taken his kids away for 4 months because you said he had PTSD.
Yep.
And then you turn around and you want more child support after you get a ruling against you.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that just perverse that she's checked out, right? She wants to end the marriage. And not only like, all right, fine, like people change, whatever, like let's just for a moment set aside the judgment of whether she's right or wrong in that. But just the hypocrisy of like, no, I don't want you, but I expect you to keep paying me and supporting me.
Yes. And the other part of this equation, I would say, that bothers me the most is the way that the system is set up and is most beneficial to attorneys is the more acrimony, the more fight, the more billable hours, the more pay.
Oh, man, I noticed that. Yeah, it's like the bigger the fight, the more, I mean, it's so I'm, business guy, just side story. We have to do master services agreements. These are like governing agreements between we have a little about 30-person company up in Cedar Rapids, and we do business with like really big telecommunications companies like Windstream and Comcast and those types of guys. Well, when we go through a master services agreement, there's never an attorney that you just send a contract to and he says, oh, yeah, that's fine. Because if the contract's fine, then the attorney's not needed.
Correct.
So anyway, continue your thought. Like, it's just
so,
yeah.
This whole process really opened my eyes because...
So just to frame it clearly, in divorce court, the more of a fight between husband and wife with a marriage falling apart, the more work there is for an attorney, which means the more hours they can bill. Like, I mean, this is just something, heads up, if you're like, you're working with an attorney, these people, like, I mean, they're not all bad people, but a lot of them are just really good at manipulating. And
yes.
When they're serving you, they might just be trying to make you really mad to do more stuff, which is more billable hours for everybody. And in an attorney's mind, that rising tide lifts everyone's boat financially.
Yes. And that's the hard part, right? So I've been focused on legislation that removes having that acrimony, removing that fight.
Well, let's just talk through the rest of your story. So, like, okay, 4 months, she's taking your kids.
Yep.
You're going through the divorce.
Yep. So for
she's
4 months,
she's made these four
applications, and they all fall short. Yep. She either recognizes that she's going to be hung out to dry because I have evidence.
Yep. But her attorney got to bill her, and your attorney got to bill you for the hours of messing with those.
Correct. And by the time it's all said and done, you're both in debt up to your ears to the point where we both had to file for bankruptcy.
I mean, that's really the tragedy. Like, it's just destruction doesn't help anybody.
Well, okay, so instead of spending all of that money on attorneys and creating all of this, like these hard feelings, why wouldn't we try to just say, hey, you know what, we're not made for each other. Let's place our kids first. Let's take the money that we spent on these attorneys and invest it towards ourselves and our kids.
Yeah, because think about it. Allegedly, this whole system is for the children or for peace and tranquility, like a best case scenario. But like,
the only people that win are the attorneys.
Yeah, I mean, that's just awful. It's just, I mean, I've heard, seems like a million stories like that from just friends of mine.
Right.
Just, it's terrible.
So, you know, I get a final divorce order, and we finally stipulate, we finally get everything done. And it's April of 2010.
So you're 3 years in the process. Massive financial burden.
Well, it's 2.5, but yes.
2.5. Yeah. Massive financial burden. Bankruptcy on both sides is either already happening or soon to happen.
It had already occurred.
So the kids are now, whatever happened to them, they're dealing with parents who are massively financially stressed. Their parents are divorced.
I'm living in my mom's basement.
You're living in your mom's basement. And what did the court end up? Who got the kids?
She did. I had no fight.
Based on what? Like,
based on the fact that she was just the mom.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how it always is.
Well, and between that and the fact that I was still in the military, that got held against me.
Why was that held against you?
Because I was staring down the barrel of another deployment.
So your wife or your ex-wife is saying, well, he's going to have to go back overseas, and how could he possibly take care of the kids?
Correct.
Therefore, just give them to me.
Correct.
Yeah. Which is a multi-year process, decision, but she's trying to convince the court, and the court listened, I guess.
Well,
for a 1 year deployment or less than 1 year.
The way it played out was my attorney said, you know, you're not going to win. The court's going to side with her. We've seen this so many times, it's not even funny.
Why do courts do that?
Lazy.
Okay.
Judges are lazy. They don't want to investigate.
What do they base
the
it
facts.
On? Is it precedent? Is it a law?
No, they base it on their own bias.
Okay. So a judge has a huge amount of power in a divorce proceeding.
I would say the district court judge is the most powerful person in the entire structure of government.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah. I would say that they're more powerful than a Supreme Court justice.
Really?
Yes.
Why would you say like that? Sounds like
Because the Supreme Court, in my experience, and I've spent a great deal of time studying cases over and over and over and over.
Okay.
In my experience, the Supreme Court does not want to throw anyone in the judiciary under the bus.
Oh, that's totally true. They all circle the wagons and defend each other. Yeah.
You have to be pretty much the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
To have any sort of repercussions.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and to your point, who affected your life? A district court judge. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court wasn't going to help you. Like, no. They don't care.
No. And here's the thing. Traditionally speaking, the level of success right now in if you were to take a custody order from the court that went to trial and you were to appeal it, the appellant wins 5.5% of the time.
Yeah, so you're already bankrupt
then you risk paying thousands of dollars, and you could still be on the hook for her attorney fees.
For a 1 out of 20 chance of success, basically.
Yes.
So that's why your attorney coaches you to not do it.
Correct. Which he knows that he's going to end up writing off most of my bill.
Yeah, because he knows
he knows I'm broke.
Yeah. So then he starts to steer you in certain directions. I mean, so foundationally, if you're an attorney, what we need from attorneys and judges is a commitment to righteousness and justice. And where are the law schools that are producing the attorneys that are committed to that? And where are the attorneys and lawyers that are committed to it and willing to humble themselves and serve the purpose of justice? That's your God-given directive. And like, there's no one like that. I didn't meet anybody like that in Washington, D.C. Like when I was going through, they coached me the same way. The attorney said, hey, listen, don't try to use the Constitution as a defense. Never mind the fact that these are unalienable rights granted by the Creator. In America, we hold that to be self-evident.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I'm noticing in the judiciary now is we've had some really positive rulings, but it wasn't until we had an attorney out of Davenport. He's typically like...
You're talking about in Iowa?
In Iowa.
Supreme Court, Iowa?
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
So an attorney out of Davenport who traditionally did like personal injury, contract breaches, stuff like that. He didn't really dabble a whole heck of a lot in divorce or custody.
Okay.
That's the interesting part. So when he boiled it down to the letter of the law, he had this big ruling that came out, and it was like, wait a minute. Everyone in the family court system was losing their mind because the letter of the law said what I thought it said, but everyone and every judge and every court of appeals was like, no, we're gonna follow this common law thought process. But
so common, like these.
But the statute supersedes common law and precedent, so they couldn't ignore it.
Well, I mean, good for them, except in practice, they had been ignoring it. They ignored it in your case, right? Like, I mean, that's what that is rebellion in the judiciary. It just is what it is. When they're not putting into practice and judging based on what's statutorily there, then they make up their own laws. And
so I know the gentleman who had that case, who was the father in that case. And it was in remarriage of Frazier.
Okay.
It was decided in January 2024. The circumstances were mom wanted to get the kids' COVID vaccines.
Yep.
Dad said no.
Yep.
Mom filed an application for court intervention. They proceeded to move forward. Dad's attorney presented the case. Matter of fact, this is what the code says. We have joint legal custody. This is not a medical necessity. Boom.
Yeah.
Court dismisses the application for court intervention. And that's the interesting part. So she appeals.
Okay.
Goes to the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals overturns
Just amazing,
it.
these people, the religious fanaticism that there was around the vaccines. Like, what was the mortality rate among children? Like 0.0000001%. Like
It was akin to having the everyday cold.
Right. Exactly.
So it gets overturned in the Court of Appeals.
So the Court of Appeals says,
no, go ahead. Get the vaccine. Then, before anything happens...
how old are these kids?
At that time, 10 and 12 maybe?
Yeah. So these kids, the threat of COVID to them is literally the equivalent of the common cold.
Correct.
And their mom is just losing her mind over this. Like, which is pretty clearly it's about power at this point, right? Like,
so at that point, the attorney says no. So he files what we call an application for Supreme Court further review. And he cites that the Court of Appeals has violated the law. They've abused their discretion.
Yeah, right.
So the premise or the basis for this,
is like, that was so common among the judiciary, and it still is today, like, but especially in COVID, like these judges that hide behind this facade of like, we just interpret the law. But like, in my experience, there is no population of people with more contempt for the law than judges. Like, these people just do whatever they want.
Yeah. So the definition of joint legal custody is both parents have equal decision-making power on medical decisions, education, religious instruction, extracurricular activities, and legal issues. They have equal say. No parent's say is superior to the others.
Yep.
Okay. So...
But the appeals court said, by equal say, we mean that mom's say has more equal say.
Well, okay. So here's what the Supreme Court said. They said that the mom attempted to make this on what we call an application or a motion. Okay, in order to effectuate this, you have to have a petition to modify. And mom has to be awarded sole legal custody, which is
that's
sole decision.
The legal way to, okay.
But she doesn't get there.
I mean, that's a really basic concept. Like, how do these appeals court judges, I mean, it's not hard to figure that out.
It is very discretionary, and they defer a lot to common law, precedent. I'm going to give deference to the district court judge.
Okay.
Instead of the law.
Yep.
So everyone was losing their minds in the Iowa State Bar Association. These family law attorneys were going, oh my goodness, I can't have this. And suddenly...
Because it upset the apple cart.
Right.
Yeah.
So suddenly there's...
With a little thing called the law.
Right.
Like, these are the people who supposedly know the law better than anybody else.
So suddenly I find myself having...
It's like Jesus... In Jesus' day, who were the experts in the law? They were the experts in, like, twisting and perverting the law.
Correct. Oh, yes. So there were these several bills. Kids First out of Cedar Rapids is really one of the big drivers behind new legislation that would undo this court ruling.
Okay.
What they're aiming to do is to parse out those big 5 decision-making factors so that there is a what we call a tiebreaker.
Okay.
So for the last 2 years, I've found myself defending against this. So they want to make it so that you can effectuate custody changes with a motion or an application, and that the court can hear these things. Mm-hmm. And they also want to be able to parse out those 5.
Which basically, the interesting thing, tell me if this is correct. With joint custody, there has to be agreement of the parents.
Yep.
With this tiebreaker, what they are effectively doing is putting the kids in the custody of the state whenever there's a disagreement between the parents, because they can always appeal to the judge to try to manipulate them into going their way.
Well, so under the Fraser ruling, if it's not medically necessary, there's no change if they can't agree. So it's not permitted to go to court. However, if let's say you have a medically necessary thing, like let's say the kid breaks his leg and needs to go into surgery to have it fixed. Okay. Well, guess what? That kid gets to go into surgery and you can deal with in contempt court. You're not going to win.
Right.
The reason why that is there is because if you deny that kid medical care that is necessary, we've already got remedies in the law for it. It's called denial of critical care. So why would we go into really hey, are we going to upset the apple cart over this? No, it doesn't make sense to me. We've already got everything in the law that we need.
Yep.
There.
We don't need more laws. Yeah. These
parents just need to learn to agree.
Right.
Oh, wait, you mean that you guys have to be adults and work this out? That doesn't compute why you would need a tiebreaker. Oh, we need a tiebreaker. No, Kids First, you don't. No, Iowa State Bar Association, you do not need a tiebreaker. If you need a tiebreaker, then you need to assign a sole legal custodian under the existing code.
Yep.
Otherwise, you know what? Go pound sand.
That's the appropriate remedy, is to assign, a legal custody, sole legal custody to the parent, one of the parents, just having respect for the God-given right of parents to have authority over their kids. And nobody wants divorce and it's ugly and it's nasty, whatever. But the way that the government can properly play referee is to keep it in the realm of the parents. And if there's such a disagreement where they just can't get along, then you're right. Give it to the one that is, as a matter of justice, ought to have it.
So we had the worst case scenario take place in the state of Texas.
Okay.
The state of Texas has this very statutory scheme.
What this Kids First Iowa is proposing?
Yes.
Okay.
So
the court is the tiebreaker.
No. Where the parent who is primary physical care, where the kids are with.
Okay.
So here's what happened. Both parents had 50-50 physical care. Both parents had joint legal custody.
Okay.
So mom goes in on an application into the court, says, I need temporary emergency custody granted to me.
Okay.
There's this whole big hearing. And through the course of this and that, and it maneuvers so that the mom got the case. Mom got physical care of the twins down in Texas.
Okay.
Along with that, mom moves to California. While in California, mom transitions one of the children.
Whoa.
That dad, who had joint legal custody, had all of his parental rights taken away without an evidentiary trial. That father had everything just ripped away from him.
Yep.
And they turned his son into a girl.
Well, they tried. I mean, that's criminal on a judge's part. Right. That is pure evil.
And you know what?
And no excuses about I didn't know or whatever. It's your responsibility to know. You play big boy games, you win big boy prizes like that.
He took it to the Texas Supreme Court.
Well, but what's the Supreme Court going to do? You know what the worst thing that judges do to fellow judges is say, oh, well, that was wrong, and you cross your heart and hope to die that you'll never do that again.
They never did anything.
Well, but the worst case scenario, there's no consequences for judges that are pure evil. They just they pinky swear not to do it again, and then it's Then they do it again, except they find another like little subsection of the law, and then it's like, well, I didn't do it the same way. Like this is how the law works,
We're talking that this kid, I think, is now like 14 or 15, but at the time he was like 9, and I look at that and I go, if he's got an issue with who he is or what his identity is. Don't you think you should be finding out why that's the case?
Yeah. Why don't you just talk statistics for a minute?
So, all kids need a safe, stable environment.
Yep.
Okay. So, here's what we know. We know that in 2020, single or non-custodial fathers paid their child support in full and on time at a rate of 73%.
Okay.
The average child support payment at that time was a little over $1,200 per month. So, conversely, non-custodial mothers paid their child support in full and on time only 40% of the time, and their payment was just under $500 a month. On average.
What was the difference in payments? $500 for mom and
$1,200 from dad.
And why is that?
Because they only took custody away from the worst of the worst mothers.
Who can't afford it anyway. They can't hold a job anyway, probably.
So let's go to nuclear intact families. Nuclear intact families get their kids successfully to adulthood 93% of the time. We're not talking like these are really rigid metrics.
Just basic success factors.
Basic success, not excessively in debt.
Steady job.
Not even a college degree.
No drug abuse.
Right.
Just basic.
Right.
Yeah.
If you exclude simple misdemeanors, traffic citations, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So 93% of the time in a nuclear intact family.
Okay. Which makes sense, right? Most people would think that,
Single
you have
mother
a better
households,
chance. Okay.
14% of the time.
So if you're raised in a single mom household, you have a 14% chance
of being successful.
Oof.
Okay. And the metrics that are thrown in there is even if you saw your dad every other weekend.
Even if you saw your dad which is kind of the default, for a dad that's kind of
correct.
Gets a.
And it didn't matter if you had a stepdad or not.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So
single dad,
93% of the time. Dads are the glue that hold a child's development together. 30% of American children today are fatherless.
Which puts them at that 14%
at severe risk of failing.
Yeah. Which creates a compounding effect because they're gonna produce children that are gonna be fatherless again. They're gonna be addicted to drugs. They're gonna not hold steady jobs. They're not gonna put roots down in any community. They're gonna
unaliving themselves.
Yeah.
All but a very small percentage are fatherless.
Suicide is almost all fatherless kids.
Homeless, almost all fatherless kids.
Well, so and why is there such distrust of men among our courts specifically?
So if you were to go into the domestic violence portion of this is where the interesting dichotomy exists. And that is women perpetrate domestic violence almost all the time.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
They instigate, they poke, they push, prod. The thing is when you see a case happen where a male is violent, or bigger, stronger, faster, hit harder, well, guess what? In order for that to be evoked out of a male, you usually had to really, really antagonize
Yeah, I mean that happened. I experienced that growing up. I was the oldest kid in the family, and whenever I was reduced to pummeling one of my younger siblings, I always got the blame, and I knew that they deserved it, but like mom and dad didn't care.
Well, okay, so and here's the interesting part. Mm-hmm. So divorce rate, and here's the funny part. If you ask me what my position on gay marriage is, mm-hmm. I think it's wonderful for my cause. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Lesbians, 73% divorce rate.
Okay.
They have an excessively high domestic violence rate. It's almost as high. It's 70%.
Whoa.
It's almost as high as their divorce rate.
The lesbians are all beating each other up all the time?
Okay, so let's go to heterosexuals.
That's terrible.
Let's go to heterosexuals.
Yeah.
56% is the divorce rate.
Okay.
Here's the domestic violence rate. Real domestic violence rate, 5.5%. Okay, gay males. Let's talk about them. 28% is the divorce rate.
Okay.
Ask me the lowest.
So the gay males stay together. That's crazy.
Right?
That's weird.
But here's the funny part. Mm-hmm. What's their domestic violence rate? Less than 0.5%.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
When men are done, they're done.
Huh.
Men are actually very loyal.
Wow.
Men understand it.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it was interesting to me to see how that played out. Mm-hmm. It was like, whoa.
That's crazy. So men, by all these statistics, like men are the component that for whatever other factors there are loyal.
Yes.
Which makes sense to me. I mean, like that's like the friends that I know that have divorced. Like, I mean, they would have stuck it out. They would have fought for it. They would have, but like it's like their wife or whoever got tired of it and thought she could he was just a rung on her ladder to get to the next level of her life and just goodbye.
Well, and there's been this big debate recently in the legislature because Senator Green introduced legislation to for people when they're applying for the marriage license, they can opt out of no-fault divorce.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So if that would have moved through, that's what
then the idea is if divorce comes, then the court has to work through the issues basically and say, you're the one who is unfaithful or you're the one who broke faith.
Correct.
Yeah.
So my experience has been examining all of these cases over the years.
Yeah.
There isn't just one person that's at fault. It's both of you. And
which I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but yeah.
Oftentimes, there's a break.
Okay.
And there's definitely a de-evolution where you've devolved from where your communication was to where your communication is.
Eventually you get disillusioned, you shut down, and then fast forward a few weeks, few months, few years, whatever. Like at that point, when divorce comes. Yeah. Which I mean, that's awful, but I see what you're saying.
Here's the interesting part to me. If we were to put an increased focus on making it more difficult to get into marriages than we do getting out of them, I would say that we would have a greater success. And I'll give you some examples.
Yeah, let's hear.
So in Catholicism, they have pre-Cana.
Okay, what does that mean?
Pre-Cana, well, Cana, the marriage at Cana is where Jesus turned water into wine.
Yep.
So
first miracle. Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. So what we talk about is pre-Cana, so pre-marriage.
Okay.
Getting ready for marriage.
Okay.
Okay, so if you talk about preparing yourself for marriage, did you know that you have a 90% success rate if you have a prenuptial agreement?
Huh, okay.
Do you know why?
No.
Well, people often say, oh, why would I set up my divorce?
Yep.
Okay, but a prenuptial agreement is an agreement on how the marriage is going to be. It's our expectations of each other's roles in that marriage.
Okay.
So if you set it up so that before we even get married, before we enter that sacrament,
Yep.
what we're doing is we're laying out what the expectations of each person is.
Yeah. Okay.
And you do it ahead of time.
Which a lot of people do this, at least in name, by going through premarital counseling.
Correct. But if you have it in writing, it's so much more.
Well, and there's legal teeth to it, is what you're saying.
Well, I've seen lawyers blow up prenups.
Okay.
The 1 minute you commingle funds on something that you never said you were going to do,
Okay.
the whole thing's void.
Okay. So they're not necessarily going to legally hold up, and that's not the point.
That's not the point.
Okay.
The point is you set out with these expectations, and based on those values and that goal,
Yeah.
people who are goal-oriented, have expectations, and follow those expectations, they have the most success.
Interesting.
Yep.
I could see that. It's just in a mature relationship, like when you're just clear about expectations and putting them in writing is often it's such a good way to make things clear. It's like, yeah, this is what I expect. It's
right.
So okay, so makes sense. The percent is what's the rate of success from marriage? 90. So way higher. So okay, you made your case, practicality, but most people who get married are young, and
they don't see the point because they don't have assets or money.
Well, yeah, they don't see no assets, no money, but also young people, and I'm glad that God made us this way, but young people are romantic. They're about okay, so what do we do? How do we as a society approach this healthfully? Really in families, for some, maybe speak to people who are raising up sons and daughters, and you've through school of hard knocks, learned some lessons. What do you how do you train up your kids? How do you what's your suggestions?
So we have our fights in front of the kids.
Okay.
And we make up in front of the kids.
Okay.
We eat crow in front of the kids.
Okay.
Get rid of Hollywood.
Yeah.
The Notebook is not real. Cinderella is not real.
Yeah.
It's a manifestation of a great romance novel that is not reality.
Yeah. So you're training kids based upon a real relationship, which
Correct.
You're remarried.
Yes.
And so you guys have a maturity where it's this is ugly. I've heard a lot of people over the years say, "Oh, we never fight in front of the kids," but you're saying fight in front of the kids.
Fight in front of the kids
because that will teach them. Listen, mature relationships do have conflict, and they are able to work through it and find a resolution.
In fact, so I've seen it where the kids that have the whose parents have had the most awful knockdown drag out, but they still have 50-50, those kids are the most successful at conflict resolution.
Huh.
They can get heated. They can handle a little bit of heat, and they do well with the coping mechanisms too.
Huh.
It's amazing.
Huh.
So if you were to, let's say you get kids that are in college and there's a tragedy that is struck. Let's say we got a group of girls and guys that have been hanging out, and a couple of them get killed in a car accident.
Okay.
They have this big to-do and this big knockout, drag-out. And it's just a devastating loss.
Yeah, it's horrible, yeah.
Okay. Kids whose parents took them to funerals and let them sit by their grandparents as they died in hospice can better relate to the world. They better cope with these tragedies. They're not stuck in the past. Their anchor isn't there. And you got to do it while they're developing.
One of the things Mom did, so we were homeschooled, and Mom, once a month, we did this with another homeschool family as well, but we would go to this nursing home, memory care place.
Yes.
And I hated it as a kid. Like, it was boring and like, why am I talking to these old people? Like, whatever. But I'm just thankful that Mom did that for us, because we have this false idea that the right way to raise kids is to create a bubble around them and then like make sure they never see anything bad. They never have any conflict. They never have any pain. They never have anything. But like, what that does is it makes the kids, when they realize that all of those things are an actual part of life that we have to deal with, like, hey, guess what? Sin and wickedness and evil, all this evil is part of the world. What kids go with is like, oh, well, I know who I can't trust to deal with this is my parents, because they told me this didn't exist, either consciously or subconsciously. So what Mom would do, and this other mom in our circle, and we were good friends with all those kids, and we'd go around and we'd just talk to the people. We just go into a room, and probably some grandma that's family, like, I mean, hopefully their families visited them, but I think a lot of them didn't. They were, you just had to confront the old age. You had to confront that mortality was part of life. You had to confront that loneliness is a part, and you're not thinking in these terms as a kid.
And the finality of death.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, as a soldier, that was one that struck a little bit differently, because I would see people my age die, and it's very final. That whole structure, you don't want your kids to have to go through it. You want to shield them. You want to protect them. But if you let the kid climb the tree, and let him fall and break his arm, he's going to be the happiest kid you'll ever see.
You develop a competence in the kid and the freedom in the kid to be able to do that. And like, what we do when we insulate kids is we make them weak. And what we open it up to is basically, God said parents are going to, help kids learn to interpret reality, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, we basically hand them over to the world or to Satan to do it. Because, like, if parents are like, well, that's too hard of an issue, don't want to deal with that, like, I'm just going to pretend like it doesn't exist.
There was this little... I can't really call it an experiment, but it was kind of like a moment in time where they use these videos to showcase the differences between mothers and fathers. And they would ask mothers, would you kill for your children? Well, if you ask a father, there's no question.
Yeah.
That answer is firmly yes.
Obviously, yes.
How many women struggled to answer yes to that question was mind-boggling to me. I'll tell you this. My kid calls me and says he's in trouble.
Yeah. That's what every kid should have, a dad like that.
Right.
I don't care.
So there's all of these lines that you find that connect and they're intertwined.
Well, and can I just say for a minute, like, it's not the end of the world that women don't want to kill, right? Like, women are life givers. We need you to be life givers, to like nurture and to like, but the point that we're making here is that fathers are irreplaceable and essential and should not be discounted because of the risk inherent of like a masculine person.
Correct.
We need power. We need, authority and people who will intervene and act decisively.
So that moment in time where my now 8-year-old is crying and says, you don't love me. You don't love me because you won't give me that item. And I get to say, oh, but I do love you. And I'm teaching you a lesson.
And that's why I'm not giving you that item.
Correct. It is so much more profound as a 43-year-old father of 4 boys to go, you will one day see. You will one day see.
Yeah. And as, mom, wife should be able to rely on husband to do that. Like Dad's job is to do the dirty work, and guess what? That's what we kind of want to do. Enforce the discipline, right?
Both moms saw the benefit maybe years later.
Right.
But they saw the benefit of going, because my older two, they're funny. Mm-hmm. You can insult them and they don't care.
Yeah.
You can say some mean stuff to them and they go, okay, what's your point?
Yeah. Yep. Because they're steady and they have an identity that's drawn from dad. Yeah. Yeah.
And they are confident in who they are. Mm-hmm. They have a solid, stable foundation. And if you were to look at, let's talk about briefly the attachment disorders.
Sure, yeah.
You know, all my kids' attachment styles are secure. Every single one of them. And the reason is because...
Even the ones from your first marriage?
Yes. Because they could rely on their parents. They find safety and security and stability in both of us. For a number of reasons, I never really dogged their mother. I didn't like some of her decisions. I didn't like some of her tactics. But at the end of the day...
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's a mercy, right? Like, let the kids love mom. You know, no matter for all of her...
If you say mercy, and I kind of go, I don't even have to give that to her. I just don't even have to acknowledge the fact that she wronged me.
Okay.
Because you know what? At the end of the day, she's going to have to deal with that the way she's going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And me, I've forgiven her. I've moved on. And
I think that's the powerful thing is you've forgiven her. That's what breaks that chain, right?
So, you know, we've helped. So I run a nonprofit called Reforging Families.
Yeah.
And where I met Troy Tech was with Iowa Fathers.
I love Troy.
Troy's a great guy.
Yeah.
So when I'm helping fathers, the first question I ask them, what's the opposite of love? You know what 95% of them say? Hate.
Yeah. That's what comes to my mind.
Okay.
What is the opposite of love?
So let's go down. What is love? Love is the polar end of passion, and on the other end of passion is hate.
Okay.
So imagine it's like this up here.
Okay.
And imagine a rung goes down to this other end.
Okay.
And it's indifference. If I act with hate, I still love and care. If I'm indifferent, I let her go.
That's, that plays, you see that play out in a lot of either Hollywood or just love stories that you're right. Love and hate are actually closer together. Because if you hate somebody, you're still engaged with that person.
Correct.
Right? And it's not right to hate, right? But when you haven't given up.
When you let her go and you're indifferent.
Yeah, because it's just like whatever.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just like letting go of resentment. Resentment is this huge, heavy, jagged rock that you carry everywhere with you. Just let it go.
Yeah.
That weight, it's so freeing. Yeah. Hey, guess what? I get to talk about it because guess what? I carried that rock. And then when I let go of it and I freed myself from it,
How did you let go? I mean, people are probably carrying resentment right now, wondering how to get rid of it.
I can tell you right now. So I was in the VA. Mm-hmm. I was at the domiciliary in the Des Moines VA. Mm-hmm. We had group therapy at 6:00 at night in this one particular program, and the therapist there said, "Go out to the rock garden and grab a rock that represents your resentment."
Okay.
I looked around and I go, "Oh, these rocks fit this." Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I've never been the type to really be bound by boundaries. So I started looking around a little bit further, and I see this culvert over by the entrance, and I see this big, huge limestone rock. And I march my happy butt right over there, and I pick it up, and it's a heavy, jagged thing. And I remember it's this press board. The table is this press board with the enamel in between it. Mm-hmm. It's a light table, and I remember setting it up, and it bounces and it cranks. Yeah. And the therapist says, okay, I guess we're going to start with you.
Yeah, of course.
And I described everything that I'd gone through and everything that I was feeling. And he goes, so you carry that thing with you up the stairs, down the stairs, take it on the bus with you. You sleep with that rock on your chest. Just imagine how freeing it would be if you would just let it go, how much lighter you would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, and that was it. That night, I called my ex. I said, I need you to hear me out, start to finish. And when she said, okay, it's gonna get uncomfortable for a moment, but I'm gonna come back and it's gonna be fine.
Okay.
I laid out everything, all of my feelings, and then at the end they said, I forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. It was gone.
Wow.
So that moment in time, you realize you're hanging on to the wrong items.
Yeah, praise God for that. Like, I'm just, yeah. That's, I had to, everybody, we all carry resentment or reasons for resentment, whether we resent or not. And for me, it's, these, I had to go to prison for January 6th and all that, but it's by the grace of God that, Jesus was the one that showed, hey, listen, if you live, this was, me going through this process, the judges and the lawyers, the prosecutors, everybody out there are telling me, oh, the Constitution doesn't apply, and there's all these things that just infuriated me, or, really should have. But I follow the God that went to the cross. Mm-hmm. Jesus didn't resent. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm the Son of Man. I'm the heir of humanity, and I am the only one who can put this mess back together. And the only way to put the mess back together is to show people how to drop that rock that you're talking about. And I didn't have a moment like you described. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I just love that. But Jesus is the way. He shows the way. And I said, okay, cross is good enough for him. It's good enough for me. This guy created everything. This guy had the legal right to all of humanity. He can do this via power, via whatever method he wants. And he chose the way of forgiveness and love. And so I said, well, I'm faking it till I make it. I'm just going to walk in faithfulness to that. And
Jesus was flogged over 700 times. He was nailed to the cross. And then you can hear and see that God is getting angry. You just see it in the way everything is, the way it was described.
Just reading the Gospels, you can see
right.
the rage of the Father building.
Right.
Yeah.
And that moment in time where Jesus says, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's the only one. Mm-hmm. The only one who ever did that, could have done that. And
so then everything transitioned, and I started going to the Capitol. So
that was the moment that connected you to okay, dropping the resentment opened the door of God's call on your life, basically.
Well, right. And so I went through reconnecting with an old flame, getting married, having a kid, mm-hmm. and then having another kid. Mm-hmm. And that kid, he was quite the complex health scare everything.
Oh, just the way he was born, or after that too?
Well, we figured out when in utero at the 20-week ultrasound, he had some cysts on his kidneys and he had a cyst on his brain. And and that was found at the ultrasound. We were at an OBGYN office up in Cedar Rapids, and they sent us to the high-risk OBGYN down in at the University of Iowa about 2 weeks later.
Sure.
So we go into this meeting.
And this was 2015, something like that?
2014.
Okay.
Because he was born in January of 2015.
Okay. 10 or 12 years ago. Yep.
Yeah. So we have this ultrasound. And they see the little cyst in his brain, but it's diminished. And it's a cyst that typically goes away.
Okay.
What they saw was really enlarged kidneys, 4 times the size that they should be.
Okay.
And it's caused by a UPJ obstruction, which is a utero-pelvic juncture. So really, the technical term is this complicated thing. But what it is underdeveloped ureters. So from the kidneys down to the bladder, they're not draining properly.
They're not draining. Okay. Yeah.
Well, he tells us that the likelihood of survival is very low. None of this stuff is making sense to me because he says things like, you're measuring 38 weeks pregnant when you're only 22 weeks pregnant.
Okay.
And then he says things like, this kid's probably going to be born with end-stage renal failure, have no quality of life. And I'm going along going, well, none of this stuff that you're saying is making sense. So you need amniotic fluid to develop your lungs.
Okay.
But how you create amniotic fluid is the kid is literally peeing in your utero.
Okay.
So that pee.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that pee is developing your lungs.
Okay.
Well, okay, so that's the amniotic fluid. You need the amniotic fluid.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the byproducts of gestational diabetes in about 1/3 of women is a condition called polyhydramnios, which is excessive amniotic fluid.
Okay.
So my wife had gestational diabetes and polyhydramnios.
Okay.
So he's suggesting at this point in time that we terminate the pregnancy. My words that came next almost got us kicked out of the University of Iowa. And that was, if anyone was going to get murdered today, it'd be you.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, that, like, hello, like, dad defends his family.
Right.
Yeah.
So then
I mean, literally the guy, he's suggesting that it's time to kill your son.
Yeah. And I literally say to him, I'm giving this kid a fighting chance. He turns to my wife and says, what do you say? And she says, you heard my husband.
Yeah.
That's the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, jeez. Like, there's just this culture of murder in America that's like,
but it's,
come on. Like,
but the
why
funny
are we
part
death?
is there's this culture thinking that men don't have a say in their children. But there's also this culture that thinks that all men are so abusive and controlling.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
If you think I'm abusive and controlling, you should meet my mother. Yeah. I mean...
and here's the thing that society, the way I see it is men are inherently powerful. It's like part of the glory of the masculine image of God. Like, we carry power. And it is appropriate for us to, with righteousness, enforce power on the world. But what our like culture, media, kind of like the view of men is that we have focused on the misuse of power.
Correct.
So we have decided that power's wrong. So that the collective decision in society is that, okay, let's take men out of power completely. Well, guess what happens when you take all men out of power? The most, whoever's the most powerful imposes their power.
Right.
So anybody who's good recedes from the scene, and the wicked and the evil rise because they don't care what the rules are. They're just going to seize control whatever way they can.
Right.
So there's an inherent risk with men in power, right? That's what happens when you have power. But the risk of not having men in power is greater.
Right. So he is now 11 years old.
Praise God.
1 kidney. And that kidney is healthy.
Praise God.
So his pediatric urologist at the University of Iowa ended up getting a...
And how is his quality of life?
Oh, outstanding. In fact, that kid just got an iPhone Pro Max 17 and was complaining to me, hey, Dad, I need a phone case and all this other stuff. And I'm like, you're going to have to wait till the next paycheck, kid.
Yeah.
Like, if you think your life's rough.
Well, tell him to get a job, you know?
Right? So, I mean, it's the typical kid.
Yeah.
So, does he have it as rough as his older brothers? No, not by a long shot. But has that kid gone through a lot?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, that developed one of the kindest hearts you've ever seen.
That's awesome.
He's got an angry streak, but nothing like me. And he's just always saying to people, hey, I like the way your hair looks today. Or I think that shirt looks good on you. Hey, I hope you win your basketball game tonight.
Yeah.
Like, those are the sorts of things that this kid is saying.
Yeah.
Like,
and how many holes in the world are there right now of kids like that should be around saying things like that we just don't have because decisions like this doctor was trying to get you to make at University of Iowa. Like, I mean, listen, I understand life can be hard. Like some people, like by a doctor's perspective, maybe do have a low quality of life. Maybe they got Down syndrome or whatever, but life is worth fighting for.
Absolutely. So going through that and then having our now 8, almost 9-year-old, we made some O's and we ended up in Roland.
Yeah, Roland is just north of Des Moines, right? North of Ankeny?
North of Ames.
Oh, Ames. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So little town, 1,380. We moved there in June of 2018.
Okay. What brought you there?
So we lived in Ankeny. We lived in Boone. Didn't really like either place. And we found this place in Roland, this house. And it's a small town living. And it kind of reminded us both of our small town roots because I was born in a little town called Sigourney.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And then she was born in Nevada, and she was on the south side of Nevada. So they had like this microcosm in that neighborhood because it was on the south side of our US 30. So they were literally cut off from the rest of the city.
Okay.
So they had this small town feel.
Yeah.
So Roland was that, is still that.
Great.
If my kid gets into trouble, I get a phone call. It says, hey, Oliver was in the creek today and he was throwing rocks at some kid. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then now I follow up with Oliver.
Yeah.
So
Oliver gets to learn about Dad's discipline.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we moved there, I went off all of my psych meds.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I started doing therapy.
Okay.
And
what was that like? I mean, that had to be...
It was a bit of an adjustment. It took about 2 months.
Okay.
And then
2 months isn't bad for... I mean, some people have...
Well, I woke up and it was one day I woke up and I was like, I feel like I can accomplish something today.
After you got off of them?
Yeah.
Really?
And it was just
why did you decide to do it? Like what? I mean, surely the VA would have just kept prescribing you whatever, right?
So the VA had this notion. I mean, they're great for some things, but they're awful for other things. So their notion was, oh, it's not your fault you're suffering. It's not your fault you're doing this. It's not your fault that this happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it is my fault that I'm not fixing it.
Yep. I mean, that's kind of like this, like what Jesus brings to the table is the requirement of the cross. Like there is a part of us, the flesh, the selfish part of us, whatever, that must be executed.
Right.
And whether it's your fault or not, it needs to be done away with.
Right. So this happens. I'm going through therapy and things are going successful and I'm finding myself again. I run into this organization called Families United Action Network.
Okay.
They're lobbying down at the Capitol, but they're not having a whole heck of a lot of success.
Okay.
2020 comes around, and I kind of pull out of Fawn, and I take over Iowa Fathers from a guy by the name of Brian Eel in Troy Tech.
Okay.
And me and a guy by the name of Jesse Sakavage and I take over Iowa Fathers, and we start
it's basically just advocating for fathers in family issues in Iowa, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So push comes to shove, and in 2022, we start to realize the negative connotation that the name has, because it existed since 2009. And
Iowa Fathers, it sounds like a positive organization to me.
Well, you would think so, but the argument always got thrown back at us. Well, you're only for fathers. You're only for this. You're only for that. You're not actually for the kids. So
sure. All right.
Okay. So I had that thrown in my face enough. So I was like, look, we had a serious discussion, Troy and I said, look, I can either shut it down, or I can give it back to you guys, and I go off and start my own.
Okay.
So either way, there needs to be a rebranding.
Yeah. Okay.
So Troy wanted it back.
Okay.
So I gave it back to Troy and Brian.
Okay.
And I formed Reforging Families.
Okay.
And we started to have a lot of success.
How do people, is there a website for that, just real quick? Yeah.
Reforgingfamilies.org.
Okay.
Yep.
Reforgingfamilies.org.
Yep.
Great. Okay.
So I teamed up with a gentleman who does the Men Need to Be Heard podcast, Dan Ramon, down in North Carolina.
Okay.
And then Squirrely Girl, who is a dad advocate focused on fathers being more into.
Yeah.
And she's from Texas. And we went into business together.
Okay.
And we formed Reforging Families, a nonprofit. We got nonprofit exemption status with the IRS.
Great. Yep.
And we started to do a podcast every Wednesday.
Okay.
And then what I would do is I would be the one that would handle an attorney referral service, educating people on how to communicate better with their soon-to-be former spouse or their former spouse, and kind of fielding that stuff while at the same time still trying to advance legislation. For the first time in probably more than 20 years, we actually passed a shared parenting bill out of the House.
Okay.
And the House was always the big one that kind of got really difficult.
And what year was this?
It would have been 2025.
Oh, this is very recent. Okay. Very cool. Okay.
So then that one got sent over to the Senate, and because of procedural crap, it got killed.
Okay.
So then same year, I had a shared parenting bill get passed out of the Senate, a different one, and it got sent over to the House, and then it got put on the calendar, and it came back up this year. But because of all of the other bills going on with property taxes and the budget and the CO2 pipeline and eminent domain, it ended up dying.
Oh, okay.
So we had all of these things in place to try and advance 50-50 in the cause. So, in the meantime, I become the mayor of Roland, and I start that, and I ran for election in the fall of 2023, get elected, and I start January 1, 2024 as the mayor. Big changes, did some personnel stuff.
Yeah, what's it like to be a mayor of a small town? Like what?
Well, at first it was a lot like being like a city manager, I would imagine, because there was a lot of executive functions that I was doing that I needed to get done.
Well, I always kind of wondered growing up, I remember Cedar Rapids, we always had a mayor, and then we decided to get a city manager, and I never really understood, like, I was like, isn't this what a mayor's for?
Yeah. And, Cedar Rapids is interesting because you would have the mayor, but the mayor wasn't paid enough, and the city manager, if I remember right, the city manager makes bank.
Yeah, I think
several
$100,000.
Right.
But the problem with city manager, though, at least the way I see it, is like Cedar Rapids is just a stepping stone, right? Like nobody's a city manager in Cedar Rapids because they want to stay that way. They want to be the city manager in Des Moines or Omaha or like keep moving up in the world.
Sure, and I can understand that and I can appreciate that. It's just you kind of need like a business-minded sense in a government or a city that size. Mm-hmm. That size, it's just, whoa, it's like unwieldy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, probably hundreds of millions of dollars a year and budget and stuff. Okay, yeah, all right.
So when I take over, it's a $4 million budget.
Okay.
And we make some personnel changes.
A small town's budget comes from property taxes? Is that right?
Property taxes, mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, we get a little bit from the state. We get a little bit in road use tax. We get a little bit in lost.
Okay.
So local option sales tax.
Okay.
So all in all, so that's what got me started in the local government scene, and I started like lobbying on local government issues down at the Capitol.
And Roland has how many citizens?
1,380.
And how many employees are in the government for like a city like that? Is it like 5?
So
or
I
is
have
it
a city
100,
clerk. I have a city manager. I got 2 public works employees, a part-time employee, and a librarian, and several part-time librarians.
Okay, so you're like 5 or 10 like full-timers.
So we have, 5 full-timers?
Okay.
And probably 6 or 7 part-timers.
Okay. And is a mayor, like, is it a full-time job, or is it something that you're expected to do and then you probably have to support yourself another way? Or
is it a full-time job? No. But is it a salary position? Yes. At the grand price of $1,500 per year. So
like the way that it's salaried is it's expected to be like somebody's doing this, but they have a regular job.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I found that first year I put in a lot of hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so I could keep the doggone thing afloat.
Okay. And
then we started to make headway. And then we started to make advances. And now we've got a housing development going in. Mm-hmm. We're making big changes. We're changing stuff up. And we're cleaning things up.
Okay.
And, that's when I started paying more attention to what House File 718 did in 2023. And that was...
tell us what that is.
So that set up property taxes to have certain limits on local government spending. Mm-hmm. And it also set it up so that the assessments, when they're done, there's a rollback. Mm-hmm. And there's 3 new property tax bills that are being proposed. One is slated to go to the floor of the Senate today to be debated.
Okay.
And
what are they going to do? Like, what's the essence of what needs to happen right now? Basically, restrict counties' ability to charge more, or is it a state level thing? Or
they want to cap the valuations on. They can't increase more than 2%
per year.
Per year.
Okay.
And
because basically, what you pay in property taxes is a function of your valuation,
right? And then they have hard levy rate caps, so you can't go over a certain amount per $1,000 of value
at the state level.
No, at the local level.
Oh, okay.
So local governments are like water boards, school boards, city councils, county boards of supervisors.
Okay.
So those sorts of things excuse me, it just creates more problems because they don't, at the state level, very few people understand how local government and property taxes work with relation to the budget.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
So what happens in a local government, I'll take the city of Roland. So we have 6 budget workshops.
Okay.
We invite all of the department heads in. And we go down line item
So
by line.
Public Works, tell us what you need. Water
Pool,
department, tell us what
parks,
you need. Okay, sure.
Water department. And we incorporate the utilities and we do all the utility rate changes and all that stuff at the same time.
Sure, great.
So we're looking at everything. We're going down line by line. So the difference between the local governments and how they do their budgets and the state is this. The local government, before the budget is set for the fiscal year, they set the budget.
Okay.
So they've literally they say, I need this amount of money.
Okay.
Then we plug in the numbers into the DOM's website, and they tell us, okay, here's what your levy rate's going to be.
When the DOM?
Department of Management.
Okay, the Iowa Department of Management.
Iowa Department of Management.
Okay.
And they say you're over by...
Okay.
And they tell you the amount.
Too much.
Yep.
You got to go down. Okay.
So this year it was $189,000 we were over.
Okay.
So we had to go back and cut over $189,000 from the budget.
Okay. Because you just couldn't collect legally. You couldn't collect that from your
Correct.
revenue source. Okay.
So then that's what we did.
Okay.
Then we go back and we set it, and we got the levy rate and all of that back, and then all of a sudden they're saying that you're going to cut on the revenue. But everything is set on the spending. That's how we determine what our revenue is.
Okay. What do you mean by that? Like, so
our revenue.
You figure out how much you need to spend, so then you decide, you work backwards for revenue?
Right.
Okay.
So our revenue is determined by how much we're going to spend that year.
Okay.
So they're looking at this totally inverse. They're saying, we're going to cap your revenue. Okay. So let me ask you this. How do you intend on capping a revenue on a very lean budget that is needs-based, that everything that we needed was in that budget?
Yeah. So the state, Des Moines right now, is going to tell Roland how much tax revenue you can collect.
Correct.
Yeah.
And telling us that we have to cut $189,000 out of that budget.
Okay.
On things that are needed.
Okay. So what should be done? So what's needed? What's the best way forward for property tax in Des Moines? Like, what should we be
doing? If you're looking to cut revenue, what are your biggest sources of spending? Deferred maintenance turning into a catastrophic failure. It's the same as not changing the oil in your truck or your car.
Yeah. That's one of the issues in Johnson County right now. Is our jail is apparently in a state of disaster, and we're allegedly going to have to spend $90 million to build a whole new one because we can't fix the one we have, or but something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So those sorts of things happen, and what we're looking at right now, and this is more on the utility side than it is on the property tax side, so it's less affected, but it's still a substantial cost and burden to our residents.
Okay.
But if you were to take the same scenario or situation on something that comes out of the general fund, say streets, okay, so the road use tax only covers $148,000. Okay, $148,000 is maybe 5 blocks.
Okay.
Well, in order to cover what I need, in order to maintain a solid rotation on roads, I need $250,000.
Okay.
I can't make up that $100,000 because of the limitations that they've imposed.
Okay.
So there's a number of things that are going on that if I was allowed to spend the money, or we didn't have to be discouraged from spending money on things we needed at the time that we needed to make the expenditure, and instead of kicking the can or punting, they create this big catastrophic failure that now is millions of dollars.
Costs way more than it ever should have.
Now we're getting a big bond with a big interest rate of 4.5%.
Yeah, okay.
If it's a 30-year note, it's 46%.
Yeah.
Of that is paid in interest.
Yeah. So, okay, but it makes sense to me that Roland should be able to run things how Roland wants. But we have on the other side of this equation is like people are just like Jim Carlin likes to quote this stat. When he was a kid in the 70s or whatever, it's I think 36% of our money went to the government, and now it's like 51% goes, through tax regulation, whatever. And it's obviously a much bigger issue than just specific to a city in Iowa,
Correct.
or just Iowa, whatever. The lion's share of our taxes go to the federal government. But all right, like, well, how do we deal with that? Like, right? It seems like the government has an infinite appetite for our money. Where we need to get is like local control on all this stuff. I would say like it's much better to have Roland making calling the shots about what Roland does with its water department, streets,
right.
whatever. Like,
so if we were to set it up so that you can create set asides that were interest accruing line items.
Okay.
So so Senator Dawson is the author of the property tax bill that's currently in the Senate.
Okay.
And he likes to cite the Constitution of the state quite a bit.
Okay.
So there's this one constitutional provision as for taxes it says that a item that is taxed or a tax that is levied has to go to a specifically stated object.
Okay.
So if we had a line item with a statement of need, and we had to verify and show that was needed.
Like for your city.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have line items, and every line item we have to account for.
Okay.
So what we talk about is making a statement of need for that line item.
Like a reserve fund.
Correct. Well, no, not like, sort of. Yes, if you're going to save on a set aside, yes, you save it up.
Okay.
For say, road from
something that you're going to know you're going to need.
Right.
Okay.
So then you set it up, you put it in an interest accruing account, you collect at the statutory maximum of 5% interest, and in so much time you've now lessened the burden of that taxpayer when it comes time to come mature.
Okay.
So a number of these things could be avoided if we spend a little bit of time massaging out. We're going to end up paying a little bit up front. But the problem is we've gotten behind anyway. We need to account for the debt. And if we don't do this, cutting the revenue is going to put it on our uncapped levy, which is the debt service levy, which is where the interest is.
Okay.
You're going to be paying interest. And if it's
then
46%.
We're working for the bankers again.
Right.
Yeah.
Every move that the Republicans in the Senate are wanting to make, all it does is empower the banks and the lending lobby.
Come on, yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, even some of the financial guys that I talk to that are making money off of us are saying, this is a bad bill.
Okay, so what needs to happen, one of the things that needs to happen with the bill is little cities or local jurisdictions need to have power to
decide for themselves.
To decide for themselves. I got you. Yeah. Okay.
And
like that's not that big of a deal. If we have integrity in our elections, which hopefully we do, right? We need to guard that. But like we get to elect the people who run our local jurisdictions, so that's not the end of the world. Like I mean,
currently Story County is a democratically held board of supervisors.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're very fiscally conservative.
Well, good. Yeah.
So
praise God for them. Yeah.
So I'm going at this, looking at it, going like, even the Democrats are figuring this out. Please tell me who these bad actors are that you speak of, because they have failed to even identify them.
Right.
And honestly,
okay. Yeah.
the people that I talk to that are struggling are really in rural Iowa, and they're in a run down part of rural Iowa.
Yeah.
Where how do you deal with that? Like, they don't have enough money to move. They don't have enough money. They don't have family to help. And really and truthfully, they're probably people that belong on SSI or SSDI that probably belong in a small apartment instead of trying to own a big chunk of real estate. They could sell that. Someone could fix it up.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the idea that taxes are the reason that people lose their land. That just doesn't seem right to me. But there are just economic realities of like, you know, if you own land, you like have a responsibility to bring some productivity out of it, which means you should be able to get, you know, I mean, that's a huge asset, right? There's a reason why all these businesses want to come in and buy Iowa land because it's valuable. Well, if you're an Iowan that owns land, you know, I know it's not an easy thing to do necessarily, but find a way to bring the productivity of the land out, you know, find a way to make money off that.
One point is big corporations and big dollared people like billionaires will come in. If we have zero property taxes, they'll come in and they'll buy the land and sit on it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's
having property taxes funds stuff that you need, but it also discourages really poor behavior.
Yeah. And well, we have to, whatever the strategy is, it is like a God-given right of liberty, I believe, includes the right of the people who live on the land to own the land, which is like, I mean, I think of that, the way I'm thinking of that is like at a county level. Like, by and large, if there's land in a county, the people who live in that county ought to own it. And our government the government is never going to successfully be able to force people to do that, but the government should facilitate an environment that fosters the success of that.
If you were to look in our meeting minutes in the city of Roland, we have documents going back to 1896 where we as a city levied taxes against willing and able-bodied men able to work. And we levied taxes against those gentlemen. The same amount of taxes was levied against every male. Every working age male in that group. So we've been levying taxes for a very long time.
Right. Yeah.
So you still have to pay for those services one way or another.
Right.
Things are not free. And
yeah. Right? Like, I mean, the government is God's servant to do you good, the Bible says. And that is true. But we, like, have gotten, you know, there's kind of this idea in America that, like, well, because the government is God's servant to do me good, it should just do that.
Right.
Well, faith without works is dead. Like, get to work and do your due diligence. Build up people in your community who are the good leaders that you then can elect. Do your research on the people you do elect for county supervisor, for school board, for mayor, for all of this stuff. Like, we got to own this, or nobody should be surprised that we have a disaster on our hands. We've been pretty, like, honestly, most of my life, when I look at the ballot, I have no idea who the people are as county supervisor, or like, and I really don't know. What I know about the people I do vote for is basically from the media, who's not telling me the truth anyway. Like, I have to take ownership over the power that I wield, a God-given power and responsibility to vote.
That brings up this other point where people will show up to the budget hearing, and that's the very last thing.
Yeah.
We had 6 budget workshops and 0 people showed up.
The public had the opportunity to have input along the way, and whether they didn't know about it or they just refused to do it. I mean, this is what we do a lot of times, and it's not the right approach, is we show up at the end and complain rather than participating productively in the process.
Correct. So in the last primary election in, say, Hamilton County, Hamilton County has 15,000 people and I think about 8,000 registered voters.
Okay.
Only 1,200 showed up on the last primary. So
less than a quarter, less than 20% are
showing up.
Yeah.
So if you don't have public interest, you're not doing your civic duty.
Yeah. Like, don't blame anybody but yourself for bad government, right? I mean, God has given you the...
And for some reason, the state legislature thinks it can come in and micromanage. And they think they have the know-it-all. They think they can do it all. And the problem is they don't know any of it. Well, there's very few people there. So I would say that the people who are the most knowledgeable on local government is probably Representative Jane Bloomingdale, because she was the mayor of Northwood.
Okay.
Representative Brian Losey sat on the city council in Bondurant.
Okay.
Senator Scott Webster sat on the city council in the city of Bettendorf. Senator Len Evans was a superintendent, so he was familiar with school board budgets and
Okay.
local government budgets there. He knows PEPL and SAVE really well.
Yep.
Very knowledgeable on those things. It's things like this that really indicate to me that, you know, if we have so few leaders in the legislature that can actually authoritatively talk on the matter, it really bugs me.
Yeah, so then you feel like they're just running over your little town's like interests.
Well, they're running over every single town, because if you start to do this and services suffer, well, rural Iowa feels it first.
Right.
Where are the Republican base at?
Right.
And all you're doing is pushing them to urban Iowa,
Yeah.
where they're going to turn blue within a generation's time.
Yeah.
So you're really killing your voter base.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, Declaration of Independence says, we say this all the time, the purpose for government is to secure the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that a part of that responsibility is to not manage things any further away from the source than need to be. So like
Correct.
What we need to be doing in Des Moines is facilitating an environment that fosters prosperity and liberty and all of these things, but in a way that does not infringe on a local city's right to govern itself the way it wants to run, or a local county's way to and I think what has led us to this place is the widespread dereliction of duty of us, the voter base, because we do have problems. We got a lot of problems in our small towns, and like a lot of them are tied to taxation. And this is like, it seems like we just keep paying more and more and more. And like, so there's this attitude of like, anytime somebody says, oh, well, let's cap taxes. Well, let's do that because I'm sick of the government taking my money. But the issue is, for one thing, we voters have to get engaged. But we have to trust our government in Washington to empower the states and not infringe on the states' right. Our government in Des Moines to empower the counties and the cities and not to infringe on some counties are going to, and some cities are going to choose to run themselves badly. And just like we talk about, like a father has to let life be the lesson as the attitude towards kids a lot of times. Well, sometimes that's what, a state capital government has to look at. Like, I mean, we have this huge problem in Johnson County right now. Our schools lost like $10 million or something, and they just did something where I think they took money out of the employee HSA account fund and used it to cover payroll or something.
You can't do that.
They did it. Anyway, so there's this whole scandal.
So the HSA is dollars that employees pay into.
So that's my that's the story that I heard. Anyway. So it's just like, but the point is not that Des Moines needs to come in and make a specific law to not do it. We just need to like hold Johnson County. We need to get our house in order here, right?
Right.
And Johnson County is well known. It's where University of Iowa is, and like it's very liberal, probably the most liberal county in Iowa. But guess what? Democrats, I hope, want our schools to run at least financially sound, right? Like, so it's our responsibility in Johnson County to figure this out. I do my county a disservice if I go crying to Des Moines about a problem I have in my own county.
Yes.
Now it is Des Moines' responsibility to preserve my rights to liberty, right? If my local government is infringing on that, there's a place for that. But anyway, it's just like, I'm just a really big advocate for like, we the people have to rise up.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Kurtis, this is a fun conversation today. Thank you for being here. This is fun.
I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of stuff that happens. And, part of my experience lobbying at the Capitol has really enabled me to connect with some of our great legislators. Helena Hayes.
Love Helena.
Mark Thompson.
Yep. Good guy.
Charlie Thompson.
Good guy.
Yeah, those are the legislators I tend to gravitate towards. Mm-hmm. Even Mark Cisneros.
Mark. Love Mark.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I really value the relationship I have with Mark and Jackie Thompson.
Okay. Neat.
They have been very loving, parental,
That's cool.
guiding. It's been a very positive experience to work with, and just interact with them over the last 2 years. And my favorite thing this session was helping Mark draft the Human Trafficking Task Force Bill, House File 2565.
Tell us what that is.
So it's a bill that creates a task force where there are 8 investigators that specialize exclusively on human trafficking.
Which we have how many of those now?
2.
Okay.
One's an educator and one does cyber crimes, and that's it. They don't actually do.
Oh, they're not like this.
They're not in the field.
Not like the Sound of Freedom movie where they go rescue people. Like they're just kind of white collar, which is necessary, but
yes,
but inadequate is what you're saying.
Yes. So then, so it divides the state up into 4 quadrants by Interstate 80 and Interstate 35.
Okay.
So 2 investigators northwest, 2 investigators in the northeast, 2 investigators in the southeast, and 2 in the southwest. Each one of the quadrants has 1 human trafficking advocate, victim advocate. They have 4 assistant attorney generals that are under the attorney general, and they have 4 assistant attorney generals that are under the auditor.
Those are resources to prosecute crimes.
Correct.
Yep. Because that's a lot of times the trouble we have is that like nobody ends up prosecuting. Like we know something bad happened, but they don't prosecute it.
Or we don't prosecute properly.
Okay.
So we're actually having these prosecutors specialize in this type of prosecution.
Yeah.
A lot of times human trafficking is a white collar crime. So that's why we've put 4 of the prosecutors under the auditor with resources in the auditor's office with access to like their CPAs and their investigators and their auditors that do that sort of stuff on an everyday basis.
There's always a money trail.
Correct.
And the money trail is illegal if it's tied to trafficking. So like the best way to like, it's like people always talk about the busting the mafia and stuff. Like it was always like, some kind of not insurance, but income tax fraud or something like that was where they got them.
Tax evasion, usually, yeah.
Tax evasion, yeah.
So,
okay.
And it also has an investigative/intelligence officer that specializes on the investigative intelligence and piecing together all of the individual cases. Maintaining.
So you can find a bigger network by kind of making connections. Yeah.
But also tracking the evidence and making sure that everything stays.
Okay.
That the custody of the chain of custody for the evidence isn't corrupted, so that we can actually prosecute.
That's how a lot of criminals get off, is that they find shoot a hole in the
Yep.
So okay, can I ask this?
Yeah.
Human trafficking seems like one of these things that is like nobody wants human trafficking in our communities. Everybody says these people should be prosecuted. Like, don't we have prosecute? Like, these laws are on the books. You guys got the law. So, like, why isn't it being prosecuted? Do we have to, like, for every law on our books, do we have to, like, pass a law to have, like, now you have these prosecutors?
Correctly, there's only been 3 or 4 prosecutions since we've made it a Class A felony.
But, like, why?
Because there are 2 reasons. We don't put enough resources into the actual cutting the head of the snake off.
Okay.
And the second
Like, what is that? What resources? Is it like something from the governor's office? Like the governor needs to be assigning more police officers, prosecutors, that sort of thing? Or is it that there's not enough money? Or is it that
So if you were to take local police officers or police departments and local sheriff's office,
okay,
the majority of their money comes from property taxes. Okay. You're already trying to cut property taxes at the state level.
Okay. Good point.
Okay, so if we talk about the state budget is $1.5 to $1.6 billion deficit right now.
Okay.
They're projecting, the Senate's projections are saying $9.6 billion is going to be spent in expenditures by the end of the year.
Okay.
At $9.6 billion, they're complaining about $4.8 million.
Okay.
So are we over? Yes. On the budget, by far. Mm-hmm. But where's the value of life that we're putting on this? Mm-hmm. So it passed the House 89-0.
Okay.
There was not one person who objected to this bill.
Okay.
It gets over into the Senate, and it's assigned to the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Okay.
Senator Jason Schultz writes this article in the Iowa Standard. And in there, he makes a financial case that this isn't feasible. He also makes a case that...
He says $4.5 million is too much.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he also makes a case that the Department of Public Safety is not asking for this, and they're not saying that there's a problem. And then he also cites a funny statistic on the Child Exploitation Center, where there was 10,462
like phone calls or reports or something.
Whatever.
Okay.
That were made into the Child Exploitation Center, and only 121 of those reports total would have gone to the Task Force for Human Trafficking.
Okay.
So there's a few things that kind of stick out. Mm-hmm. When we had 2 service members get killed here in the Iowa National Guard, there in Syria, we unleashed revenge to avenge those deaths. We made the operation after them. We spent how many millions of dollars to do it?
Right. Yep.
And it was 2 lives.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Here, over 1,000 people a day are trafficked on the dark web for sex slave acts alone.
In Iowa.
Yep. So then you go and you look at that, and then you go, these guys are slaves.
Well,
how do they call out?
I'm agreeing with like the need here, but like, what is wrong? Like, who calls the shots on where our resources are put in law enforcement? Because the law's on the books. It's not like this is legal today. So, like, is it the Attorney General's office that needs to be prosecuting it? Is it something to do with the Department of Public Safety that comes from the governor's office? Like, I mean, who?
The problem is there's no centralized location to pool all of this information.
Well, we have law enforcement. Why can't they make it? Like, what's the big deal? Like
money.
But they have a lot of money.
And I don't disagree.
Right.
But if you were to look at
here's my question. I guess the essence of my question is like, and I'm just forgive me for being ignorant. Like, I don't understand if this comes down from the Attorney General or from the governor, but like, or maybe it's a combination of both. Like, we have people who are out there going after financial crimes. We have people going after murders and theft and all of that stuff. Well, surely trafficking is at least as awful as those. Like, we don't have to pass a law and specific funding for people to go, prosecute crimes of theft. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but what I'm saying is, like, is there no will to enforce our human trafficking law right now? And why not?
So it comes down to resources, and you have to look at where the crimes are being committed.
Okay.
So if you were to pay attention that most of the crimes that we're talking about with, let's just say, labor trafficking,
okay,
is occurring in rural counties
Okay.
where big ag exists.
Okay.
So in those rural counties, they have limited resources. They don't have experts working. They don't have people who
they
are
got a local
detective.
county sheriff's office and
Hamilton County employs 8 deputies.
okay.
8. He's got 1 or 2 investigators. If you were to go to Story County, they got 27, but they only have 3 or 4 investigators.
Okay, so but like, what are those investigators investigating today?
A lot of times they're investigating murder, drugs, theft, stuff like that.
And they're like, you're saying their load is full right now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Like there's no shortage in the criminal docket in any of these counties.
Okay.
And a lot of times we're doing plea deals, stupid plea deals.
Just because there's there's not enough resources.
In Boone County, there was a plea deal done last year for sexual assault of a child, 2nd degree. Should have been a 5 to 10 year prison sentence. It was 5 years supervised probation. You want to know why? They don't have enough room in the prison in Mitchellville for women. And there was a woman perpetrator.
Wow.
They don't know how to manage what they have, and a lot of times it is a leadership issue. It's a poor management issue. They're not working with what they have.
Okay.
But on top of it, when you do have the people who are motivated to do it, they're the ones with the limited resources.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, and I get it. Like, I guess the point maybe that I'm coming to, or that we're coming up with now, is like, okay, the legislature can do a certain amount. The legislature assigns resources, right?
Correct.
But with those resources, there has to be a will to enforce the priorities. And
Correct.
I guess so what I was trying to understand is like, okay, let's talk through the priorities that are in place. And what you're saying is like, all of these things do need to be prosecuted. Like, we need people prosecuting sexual assault and murder and theft and all of that. And you're saying they're just simply like, we're already not doing a great job of that because there's just a shortage of resources.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And human trafficking is just a complex crime with complex elements that only a specialized investigator can really hone in on. If you were to look at, say, federal investigators, they are amazing at what they specialize in. There are specific federal prosecutors that specialize in the prosecution of human trafficking.
Sure.
There are federal prosecutors that specialize in things like RICO, which is racketeering.
Yeah.
These are the things that these guys know how to do really, really well. And all we're asking for is a small task force to start with to try and hedge this thing off and cut the head of the snake off.
Yeah. And I mean, nobody's disagreeing that, maybe the most heinous crime is trafficking of other human beings. I mean, that's just pure evil. And so certainly the government's job is to secure the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And one of the most obvious things is to just disallow slavery, and the trafficking of human beings. So there's no debate there. I just trying to it's just a hard, legit issue when you get into government and, we're spending more than we're taking in right now in Iowa. And so guess what? We need to make we need to be responsible. The Bible says the borrower is slave to the lender. We don't want to be a slave to any lender.
There's current legislation on the books. You know how many DCI agents are in our casinos?
Oh,
statewide.
What's DCI?
Department of Criminal Investigation.
Yeah. No, please. Actually, no. I feel like I heard Mark Thompson say this one time.
65.
Okay, so why? Okay, who's in charge of them?
The Department of Public Safety and DCI.
Is that the executive branch? Does that report to the governor? So why doesn't the governor say?
But that's a statutory thing.
That's the issue. Okay.
That's one of the issues.
Okay. So the governor, to obey the law, must have these resources assigned there. The governor is not free, or the Department of Public Safety is not
Correct.
free to
We can
reassign
literally,
them.
we can we can really reallocate these sources
That was
in
a
the
smart,
legislature.
Smart move by the casinos. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to do.
Yeah, but the casino.
Let's just get the government to run our security for us. That'd be perfect.
Well, and they don't really run the security. They're there. There's only 3 of them per, if I recall correctly.
Dude, that's.
And you know what their function is?
Why doesn't my business get a police officer?
Run video records and cameras and stuff like that, and to provide like videos of something happening and to track a person.
And no doubt the way the government looked at it is like, oh, we have these casinos. They generate this massive amount of tax revenue. So it's like a drop in the bucket to have the police officers assigned. There's a whole, I'm sure, argument that was made around that. But bottom line is private businesses, you shouldn't get free access to unlimited police resources to anyway, whatever. I get your point. So continue your
So that's one avenue that we could do. And there's a lot of things that we could easily do to reallocate some of these services. I'll say this, that one of the things that Senator Schultz pointed out, and it's true, there was a sharp decline in recruitment.
Okay.
And that's just for the state patrol alone.
Okay, so we don't have. Well, that's another problem. Yeah.
So, what is it going to take to get more people recruited? Well, 2 to 1, what we know is environment and culture in the workplace is far more important than pay. So, if a person feels valued, they want good pay. They want to be treated right. But if you treat them right, empower them, give them the ability to be their own boss in a way, but also a collaborative, valued member of the team, and they feel heard and they are seen, holy buckets. And I'll tell you this, people think, Hollywood thinks, that the military is this authoritarian organization. They're collaborative servant leaders that always want these folks to come in and show me what you can do to help us. Because I'll tell you this, one of the key things that we're taught in some of the leadership schools and classes that we have is at the Battle of Gettysburg, General Meade's Second War Council. He knows where General Lee's troops are at. He wants to know what they should do. Meade is an engineer. He's risk averse. But the problem is he can't make a proper risk analysis if he doesn't know what the capabilities of his men are. So what he does is he invites all of the line officers in, all of them, to the Army headquarters at the farm.
These are like the frontline officers,
Yes.
like sergeants and
No, like lieutenants and captains and majors and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay.
So he says to the senior officers, you're to shut up. He says to the junior officers, you have the floor. Here are your parameters. Tuck tail and run. Stay and fight a defensive battle, or stay and fight an offensive battle. Make your case. We barely got into the captains and they already figured out the battle plan, because it did 2 things. It empowered them to have buy-in because they were developing the plan.
Yeah. Okay.
And they didn't even get to the senior officers. So what ended up happening was they determined that they were going to stay and fight a defensive battle with offensive elements. And the reason they had to use offensive elements were the troop positions in relation to Lee's troops and certain terrain features like the river and the hills. So they had it all figured out. They all developed the plan. They knew the capabilities of their men on the front line, and they knew what they could handle and what they couldn't.
Yeah.
And
we need a culture like that in our in our law enforcement in Iowa.
Well, we need a culture like that all over.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So that's where it was kind of like, okay, that's the sort of mentality that we have in the military. You only see that really just pounded on from there through every armed conflict we've had in the military up until today. So we know what's successful, we know what's not.
Yeah. Love that. Love it. Love it. This is good. Really good stuff, Kurtis. Thank you for just coming on and sharing. What else are you, is there other important things you want people to know about you, your campaign? For one thing, where should people find you? How can they find out about
So the website for my campaign is kurtisforiowa.com.
Okay. And Kurtis is spelled?
Kurtis. It's Kurtis with a K. Thank you.
FOR, Iowa.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And then you can find me on Facebook. Mm-hmm. My email address is kurtis.bower, BOWER, 82@gmail.com.
Okay.
If you want to call me,
yeah,
I'll talk to you. 515-975-0747. I'm not afraid.
This is one of the best things about Iowa politics is we're really not that huge of a community, and like people in your district should be able to get a hold of you.
Well, here's the funny part. If you go onto the City of Roland's website, it's my cell phone number.
I love that.
And if someone's having a problem with, say, like a dog, and they don't want to have a conflict with their neighbor, they come and get me. And they go, hey, will you take care of this for me, please? Because I don't really want to make the relationship between me and the neighbor sour. Right. And I go in and I'm really diplomatic. I go, hey, your dog is really loud. And it's like 11:30 at night. Can you help with this, please?
Can you please shut your dog up?
Yeah.
If I have to call the police, this is going to be a problem for all of us. Yeah.
Right. Like, I really don't want the sheriff coming into town. I really don't.
Yeah.
So let's handle this.
I love that. I love that.
So
I love that. So what are you optimistic about in Iowa? Like, why should we be? What do we have to hope for?
Well, we have a lot to hope for.
Yeah.
You know what? Our ag community is being taken advantage of by big ag. Mm-hmm. You know how many big farms we got? And we got a ton.
Too
ton
many.
of farmland. I wouldn't say too many.
Okay.
Here's the funny part. We rely a lot on federal subsidies. Mm-hmm. So the grain subsidies in 1977 have really created a reliance of the government. Mm-hmm. Guess what? We could take... the way we're approaching agriculture right now is the same way they're approaching raw commodity in Africa. Mm-hmm. In Africa they steal or they sell the raw commodity, and there's so much variability. There's no reliability in how much money they make out of the product that they're selling out of Africa.
Wow.
So what happens when you add value to that commodity by making it into a product? Mm-hmm. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so let's say I've got an apple orchard. Mm-hmm. I make apple cider. I make apple pies. I make
any kind of
crisp.
apple product. Yeah.
Yeah.
You take all the leftovers and feed it to pigs and sell it for feed and everything.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. And then suddenly you're diversifying your market. Mm-hmm. You're adding value to your commodity. Mm-hmm. You're making a product. And then suddenly it explodes from there. Mm-hmm. And our reliance on the grain subsidies is unfortunate because we have the best ground in the world.
Yeah.
In the world.
Mm-hmm.
We could be making 5 or 6 times for our farmers if we just got government out of it. You know what government does? It tells you what you can and cannot do.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is take that check. And it's so tempting to take the check.
Yeah, it's just like, it just makes life
They're
easier.
literally enslaving our farmers.
Yeah.
And our farmers can make so much more money. The potential.
Because we got the assets here in Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We have, and the other thing about that we have, I'm in the tech world, that we have an internet business, but like we have the hardest working people in Iowa. Mm-hmm. I can compete with people in San Francisco and New York and Dallas and every other tech center in the country because I can hire an Iowan, and inside of a year, they have learned everything they need to know about routing and networking and wireless technology and all this stuff.
They could probably do a trace route, no problem.
Yeah, right. All that stuff. Yeah. Absolutely. So I love Iowa. We've got...
From my days in the Signal Corps, yeah.
I love it. Love it. So
well, and you mentioned the tech world. Mm-hmm. We have data centers, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so at in those data centers, a lot of times people are cooling them with water.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've figured out with the CO2 pipeline is it is a interesting thing because they're harvesting CO2. They want to harvest CO2 off the distillate from the ethanol plant, and they want to put it into a pipe and they want to shove it across the state into Nebraska.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send it into the ground for some reason. Yeah.
So we have this 45Q and 45Z on the subsidies with the Green New Deal. You know what we found out? We could literally sequester it here, but we also found out that we can use carbon dioxide as a refrigerant. And we can cool data centers with it. And guess what we found out?
Whoa.
25 to 40% reduction in power cost in cooling.
Wow, I did not know that.
And we don't even have to use water to do it. What? Yeah.
It's amazing when you
So why would we send that commodity away from Iowa, add value to it in Nebraska or Wyoming?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many layers to that are so wrong. But this is just another, of course, creative minds are going to come up with a good way to get value out of an asset.
We don't need Summit.
No.
We don't need these tax subsidies. We can do it all here. We can make up just a huge load of money.
Yeah.
These guys can really rake it in. Mm-hmm. And all I got to do is have a little bit of courage to step out on a limb. Mm-hmm. Take a chance. Everyone takes a chance every now and then. No guts, no glory.
Right. Courage. Courage is the one thing Charlie Kirk used to say. It's the one thing that costs you nothing, but you're going to feel way better if you just approach every day with courage.
Yep. And it doesn't hurt to fail because all you're going to do is get back up.
Yeah.
And figure out what you did wrong and try it again.
And persevere. Absolutely. Yep. So, all right. Well, I'm going to pray for you if that's all right. Pray for your campaign and city of Roland. And Lord, we just ask you to turn your face towards Kurtis and let your face shine on him. And may your favor go on him and the people of Roland and Story County and his campaign. And I just pray that you would lead him in the paths of righteousness, in wisdom, in justice, Lord, that you would do good through him. Especially, Lord, will you bring justice to families, to fathers especially. May they find their identity in you. May they find justice and their rights honored in you, Lord. I pray just for families that you would heal our families, Lord. We don't want it to ever to come to divorce, and we don't want children to have to grow up in single-parent homes or to be juggled between two parents or whatever. We want our families to be healthy and whole, but when people fight, Lord, we want you to bring about justice, and we want our government to be the means by which you do that. So will you work through Kurtis in that? Give him wisdom in the bills that he works on, good connections with other legislators and other people in the government to come up with constructive solutions for Iowans, Lord, so that we can live in peace and live in a society with justice. And I just pray that you give peace and wholeness in Kurtis's home, Lord, that there would be prosperity in his life, Lord, that you would give him the attention of voters, Lord, the attention of people in media, the resources he needs, Lord, fundraising, whatever else he needs, that you would just work through him and establish righteousness in his jurisdiction, and that you would bring forth him as victor of his election. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Kurtis Bower, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Great talking to you.